This one did pretty good today. Customer's car. No, not the license plate. Idiots. Just got this one done off the dyno. Made 410 to the wheels on ethanol. The black turbo. Did good. 340 to the wheels, I think. On pump. 339 on pump, at least what it was. So now, I figured I have a few minutes. I'll put my new 440. What's up, Curtis? Up here to get a baseline on it. These things are slow as balls from the factory, I tell you. I mean, they feel all right. I just picked this one up. I kind of fucked on it. That's a story for another video, I think. There's at least 30 seconds till I swore. Yeah, I'm good. Got kind of screwed on it. So still a little bit of a battle with people over it, but this is a 19 440i M Sport. So it's got the M Sport, and it's a manual. It's rear-wheel drive manual, and the manuals are pretty rare. That being said, the automatics are really freaking amazing. Holy shit, crap! Automatics are really, really good on these cars. My black one's the auto, and that 8-speed automatic is amazing. The fuel economy is ridiculous on it. It gets 40 regularly. Not this one, because this manual does not do that. The automatic gets 40 at 90 miles an hour on the highway. You're at 2050 RPM, just over $2,000.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, bud.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Appreciate your patronage. Don't forget the box.
I won't. Until next time.
Thanks, man. I'll see you around. I was gonna say, though the automatic is pretty awesome. On the highway, 2,050 RPM at 90 miles an hour. Now, it's ridiculous how long-legged the car is if you want it to be, but there's 8 speeds on it. And first gear is really short, and so the automatic is really, honestly, pretty freaking amazing. Some data on that. First gear on the automatic is almost 5 to 1. The rear end ratio on the automatic is 2.8. So the 5 to 1 times 2.8 is still pretty short. And then the 8th gear on it is 0.64. And 0.64 times the 2.8 rear end, I think it's like 1.7 or something, is the actual final drive in the second overdrive of the automatic. And that's why it's doing $2,000 at 90. The manual, on the other hand, the manual has a 0.84 overdrive. Not nearly that of the automatic. And actually, less than that of Subarus. Subarus have better overdrives than that, which is a bummer. And the rear end is a 3.26, I believe. So at 80, you're doing $3,000. It is definitely not the same as the automatic. And so because of that, this car gets significantly lower highway economy than the automatic. So I'm going to be addressing that at some point. I think we put the automatic rear diff in it with a little slip. We'll put the 2.8 in it. Obviously that'll be the same as the automatic in 7th gear, not 8th, but it should help. First gear in this is 4.17, so even with the 2.8, it's still a decent reduction. First gear still feels a little short already, the way it is now with the 3.26. So, anyways, that's some of the data about this car. They come 320, I think is what they're supposed to be from the factory. But I drove it. It feels faster than 320. So this one may have come with the 340 horse tune on it. They had like 4 options for these cars based on what package you got. If you got the exhaust and some other shit on it, then they were like 360 or something. This does not have the exhaust on it, so I don't think that's the case on this. But this one's bone stock. ECU is still locked. I tried to get into it and it said no ECU access for you. So yeah, none of that. Now what's really cool about this car is I've already started screwing with it, because I mean it's me, but it came with the checkered aluminum carbon fiber look-alike trim on here. This, I don't know if you can see it really well or not. Yeah, so it came with this aluminum trim, and I thought it would be really cool, but honestly, it just looks cheap as shit. Looks really, really cheap. I was not a fan. So Matt from MWM, I told him I wanted to get some piano black pieces, but they only make piano black for the BMW with a red trim on the bottom. And I was like, that really sucks. I really want piano blacks. I think they look sweet in here. And so he took his old ones off of his car and painted them and then gave them to me. So check them out. Look at that. Now I have the door handles too, but I haven't switched them out yet for two reasons. One, because the paint is still fresh, and I want it to fully cure, outgas and cure and be hard. And then we're gonna either put a clear bra on it or ceramic or both, because you know that's a what's, oh yeah, you might want those. It's actually his brother. So this other one was getting scratched up, you know, because it's black. Shiny freaking black like that. So I haven't put them on yet because I'm gonna bake them a little bit, but also I have different door cards for it. I mean, this car only has 8,000 miles on it, so it's not like they're beat to shit, but there's a little wear on them. However, these are the vinyl ones. BMW came with vinyl and leather. The leather has stitching in it and has actual leather in the door cards, and I had to buy a new one anyways because this one is totally screwed up. It got scratched up by the previous owner. Let's see if I can show you here. This is really cool. Super cool. Look at these gouges. It looks way worse in person actually than it does in the camera. This is actually really, really deep in here. And my finger fits inside here, this hole. It's scratched up. And then whoever owned this car, I know his name. I have his, they left the shit in the glove box. His vaccine card and his registration was still in the glove box, which is not supposed to happen. But the dude beat the shit out of this car. Look at these seatbelt marks. All these chips up here from just throwing the seatbelt off and hitting that. Now I don't know about you, but I take my seatbelt off before I open the door, so that isn't ever an issue for me. But for this guy, apparently he opens the door first and then throws the seatbelt off and it smacks off the body there and chipped the shit out of it. 7,000 miles. It's crazy. Hey man, I see I got a $20 donation there. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That is well above and beyond what I would ever anticipate anybody doing. I appreciate that a bunch. Thank you very much. I'm sick right now. I have a cold and I've been miserable. I'm exhausted. My eyes look funky. I have a mouth mullet. So I'm a little beat down right now. I'm really tired. But this is my happy face. Thank you. Thank you very much for the support for the channel. That's really awesome. Thank you. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the dude didn't take super good care of the car. It had 7,000 miles on it. I flew down to California to get it and drove back, and I got there and it was pretty beat up, and I was pretty upset. I actually made a scene. Now I know on the internet people think that, oh yeah, Dominic would definitely make a scene, but honestly I am not the person to make a scene. But somebody tried telling me it was my fault the car was damaged, and I lost my shit. I was on 2 hours of sleep, and I just given these guys $50,000, and then they tell me it's my fault the car was damaged, and that they had somehow put another 100 miles on the car after I paid for it and signed the contract, and what you mean going down there. So they had fucking put mileage on it, they had lied about the condition, they never fucking cleaned it. It still had spilled coffee in here and everything, and then they fucking blamed me for it being that way, and yeah, I fucking lost it, and I was motherfucking this guy up and down, one of the managers, and he was not anticipating that, I can tell you that, and neither were the 50 other people that were there at the dealership that were all like, what the fuck's going on over there? Igor went with me, and he just shook his head. As soon as the dude said something, Igor was like, oh shit, it's over, and because he knew that I was about to pop, and I did, and I lost my shit. But man, anyways, enough of that. Overall, the car is pretty cool. It's a manual. They're really rare. They're harder to find. I don't say really rare. They're fairly rare. You couldn't order one on the website. Like if you go to BMW and you wanted to spec one out and order one, you cannot select manual. The manuals had to either be special ordered, like you had to go in and say I want a manual, or the dealership had to order it with a manual, just for their own inventory. But you couldn't like go on the website and say give me manual, give me this, give me that. There was only certain packages they would offer you, and the manual was not one of them.
And so because of that, a lot of people, myself included, thought they weren't available in manuals. In fact, I think on a couple of my streams, I even said that I really wish the B58 was available with a manual behind it, but they didn't offer that. I was wrong. They do. It wasn't something they told you about. Like, they didn't say you can also get it in the manual. And so when I found out that they offered a manual, I was actually at another dealership here in Spokane trying to turn in my STI, trading the STI on a white one of these, a white coupe that was fully loaded and everything, automatic, X-Drive, but it had all the features and it was just beautiful. Had 30,000 miles on it, or 38,000 miles on it, so more mileage than mine, way more than the STI, and they offered me 20 grand for the STI, and I was like, you're like 10 grand short here. I mean, I got an offer from a dealership down the street, they'll take it right now for 35. Like, what do you mean 20? Oh, that's, and so I told the guy 35, but he gave me 30 towards the car and we'll make a deal, and he laughed at me, right in my fucking face at the BMW. And so I was like, all right, I really thought that the two cars that I purchased here and my wholesale account and everything else I've fucking done would account for something, but apparently not. All I get is laughed at in my face. So I'll take my shit elsewhere, and I left, and I immediately took it to the dealership and got my check, and then put that money towards this car. So yeah, fuck those guys. So, hey man, how's it going? I'm gonna catch on chat. I saw some stuff coming in. Oopsie, there we go. Channel Sport, yes, thank you, man. Welcome back from vacation. Thank you very much for that as well. I had the trip for this, which was not a vacation, but it was definitely a trip. And then I had an actual vacation with the wife. We went down to Arizona, went to Scottsdale. Didn't do much really. We just hung out, you know. Went to medieval times, you know, had food there and had a good time there, goofing off. Did a bunch of stuff, and just a bunch of little things like that. Walked around downtown, the boardwalk, and we're gonna go to the zoo. That fell through, you know. Lots of sexy time, that kind of stuff. It was a good trip overall. So I came back from that, and now we're here. I'm gonna do a baseline on this here pretty soon.
Is
I
it
saw
running?
a question. Yeah, it's running right
The
now.
engine's on right now?
Yeah, I know. It's very
I
quiet.
thought that was the dyno humming.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I mean, they put it in sport mode.
It actually got quieter. it got quieter. It shut down
Wait.
stuff. Oh, okay, there it turned on.
There you go. Now you can hear it until you can't anymore. Yeah, it's quiet. Yeah, it's quiet and slow.
This is our first hybrid.
The hybrid,
Dyno.
first hybrid on the dyno. Yep. Would they offer the Toyota Supra with a manual? Yes, actually.
Next year?
First, they said that they were only going to do it with the 4-cylinder, which is the B48 engine. Really cool little motor. The 4-cylinder B48 is a really cool motor. I mean, it's not B58 cool, but it's a cool little 4-cylinder. And they said they're going to have that with a manual. And then apparently they released a statement about 3 weeks ago that said they were going to offer the B58 with a manual behind it. Now, I've yet to see that, but that was what they said. And that's exciting for people that like the Supra and that kind of thing. I'm sure that'll be well received. However, having driven both the manual and the automatic, I think the auto's better.
I think the auto's better too.
I think the auto's better. I mean, I wanted the manual, but I hadn't driven it, you know. I really wanted it a lot because I like stirring the gears and having a good time. But after driving them both, I think the auto's actually fucking better. And I never thought that day would come. Oh, well, fuck, my feet just got cold. I think hell froze over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly never thought that they would come, but I honestly think that the auto is better. I haven't tuned this yet, so you know, maybe with a tune, I'll change my own tune with it. So we'll see. But that auto in that car is just really freaking good, and yeah, it's crazy how good of it. And I've never been an auto guy ever. I've been 3 pedals for life, but driving that 8-speed auto and then driving this manual, there's some serious advantages to that automatic. And the whole car feels more refined, believe it or not. The spark cut on the shift is very supercar-y. It sounds awesome when it pulls a spark on the shift. Burp, burp, burp. It's really, really cool. The fact that it's got launch control, it has a way faster 0 to 60. It gets way better gas mileage. It has a wider range of gears. It shifts way faster than I could, and that thing shifts fast. It shifts like a dual clutch transmission. Like the shift speed on the thing, when you pull that plus, paddle, it shifts like a dual clutch. Just bam, bam, bam in gear. And it's really good auto. And I think that's why I was telling you earlier that they didn't offer the automatic on the website, or the manual on the website. They didn't talk about it. You had to specifically ask for it in order with a manual to get one. So.
Yeah, but you don't get the clout with the automatic. You don't get to say you're cool and drive a manual.
Right. Yes. It's 6-speed. Yeah.
I wonder if the carburetor guys felt this way when fuel injection first started to come around. They're like, oh, you know, I'm finally coming around to fuel injection. It's faster. It's better. It's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't do my carburetor this good.
But overall, though, I do enjoy the car. I like it. This has got the rev matching, which is really cool. When you downshift, the rev matches for you. You just gotta touch the throttle for a second to say that you're trying to do it, and it brings it boom right up. So you gotta do the action of what you would do to rev match, but it hits the RPM for you. So you bump the throttle and you go shook right to the spot towards it during your downshift, which is kind of cool. I always have like a little mini challenge in my head when I'm driving this to rev match it perfectly on my own, right? And that's what I've always done since I learned to drive. I used to drive without a clutch all the time, and you do that to learn all my points and all of that. And now this car is like, oh, let me do it for you. And that's kind of weird for me. I'm not used to that. Hopefully it won't make me too lazy when I get into my Subaru or my Corvette that doesn't do that. But anyway, so I'm gonna strap this thing down, get my info in the computer for this one, and then do the baseline on it. So these things are supposedly the 320 or 340. I have to run the VIN number to find out exactly what this is supposed to be, but I think it's 320 at the crank is what they say. And on this dyno, that should be like 250-ish. Oh wait, that could be wrong, because this is rear-wheel drive and manual, so less drivetrain loss. I'll do some math. Do some math of what manual transmission drivetrain loss usually is in a car, and then give it a couple percent, because the BMW is really good at making things efficient, and then estimate what I think it'd be to the wheels. Probably 15, 16%, maybe less than the crankshaft horsepower. Yeah, Travis, screw you, buddy. No, actually, the reason I asked about taking you there, or you coming back from the airport, is I was going to pick you up. I was going to pick you up and take you home. Then we could shoot the shit for a little while, because we were leaving the next morning. But the fuel pump in the black car was not happy with the E30. It could not keep up. The car was cutting out and spitting and sputtering, and I was bitter about that. And we missed home a lot. And Teresa and I ended up leaving a day early. And then we drove, just Ironman drove that shit all the way home in like a day and a half. But yeah, I wish you were there. We would have definitely stayed longer had you been there the whole time, because we were talking about what we wanted to do. And all of my friends that live in Arizona, except for one, were all gone. And I didn't get to see any of them. That kind of sucked. But I forgive you, you dick. All right, let's shut this down. enough talk about it. Let's do it. Yeah. Let's see. New vehicle registration. Oh, I don't know. KY814U. Sure.
Oh, I thought you were in the bathroom? I was gonna hijack your
Caps
live
lock
because I
is
saw
on.
your YouTube was on.
Oh,
I was like, oh, he just left while he went to the bathroom. This is the perfect time.
you come steal my phone?
Yeah. I was gonna take your viewers on a field trip. I could have shown them our pet bunny out front.
Actually, you should do that. Here.
I don't think I can find the bunny.
Well, you can show them my car. We can just go into that too if you want.
All right. Look at this. You guys get to go on a field trip with Chase today. We'll go to the back where the magic happens. Right now we got Tanner back here. This is Dom's home. We're live on Dom's stream right now. This is Dom's RS. Lane, why don't you tell us what you're doing to it?
Well, considering I've had my BMW for over a year now and he hasn't put it on the dyno, but he's had his for 3 days.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to his RS?
Nothing anymore.
That's fair. Moving on. Kevin's back there wrapping a car. Tanner, tell us about this Outback that you're working on.
Should be pretty sweet. It's a refresh stock engine. It's got ID 1050s with radium rails, a block 440 XT with a 10 centimeter housing that
10
Chase ordered.
centimeter. Ooh.
Should be a fun setup though. Be an Outback, so also be kind of a sleeper.
It's a pretty cool one. Not as cool as the Sweet RS up there. Lane's having so much fun over there. Then we got Kevin making this silver STI over here. Purple. We'll do like a before and after. As you can see, it was the silver color. Now, it's turning into this very beautiful purple color. He's got a front fender so far done. You can probably tell the car is completely dismantled because Kevin likes to be very thorough when he does a wrap job. So he completely tears the thing apart before we put it back together. And yeah, that's all we got going on. We also have a Corvette over there. It's not doing anything. It just sits there mostly. It's pretty bad. It will be cool someday, but that's not today. Let's see if Dom is ready to do a pull yet on his electric Hummer BMW that's quiet and stealthy.
I'm far from fucking ready.
Far from ready?
I'm still trying to get the first strap on.
Sometimes strap-ons can be tough.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to place them, then you got to figure out how to hold them, and especially since everything's going to be moving, you want to make sure you have it in a secure location.
Well, you can come spit on this for me then.
I got a cold. I don't know if you want me to spit on it. Is that your front bumper down there?
Yeah, from the white car.
Nice. I'm going to turn the camera as you put the towel down there and get down.
Yeah, I can't get this freaking... This thing sucks to strap down because they got all these plates and stuff in here. I love all the plates and stuff, but I don't like the plates and stuff.
That is the issue. We have the same thing with the Corvette. There's so many plates underneath. Skylines too, the GTRs.
Oh yeah, it's kind of...
As you guys can see, it's a beautiful sunny day here. Great day for tuning. Lane was throwing some shade at you.
Oh yeah, for what?
I asked him to talk about your RS, and he said, well, considering I've had my car for a year and it's yet to be on the dyno, and Dom's had his for 3 days and it's currently getting strapped on the dyno, he said, you're beefing now. And I told Lane that his BMW sucks and walked away. I didn't say that. But
I think this car was supposed to go on the dyno.
it probably wasn't. I don't think it's ever been scheduled. He probably didn't send you an email.
Definitely did not.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't get a text message about the last one.
that is the dilemma. It's a true thing is if you don't ask for it, it won't happen.
It's like a blowjob.
You gotta shoot your shots. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And that's a life lesson right there. It's one you can take with you. I feel like this is why you're so personal when you get on these things. The camera's just there and you feel the need to keep talking.
Yeah, I talk a lot, but I also want to inform everybody like what's going on.
Yeah, I took him back, showed him the Outback that Tanner's putting together.
Yeah.
We talked about your car, showed him Kevin wrapping that silver STI
Oh yeah,
purple.
I forgot about that.
It's looking pretty cool.
Purple color they put on that.
I like it a lot. You don't even have plates on there.
Nope. She's fresh and fresh. I dropped the title off of the DMV yesterday.
I like it.
But I gotta take the exhaust off.
You're gonna take the exhaust off of your other one, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna trade them. I'm just gonna straight swap them from one to the other.
Do you have power numbers from your other one with the auto trans versus the manual trans that we can compare them to at the end?
I don't think so.
Maybe you should do that before you tear it apart. That'd be interesting.
Well, it's tuned.
Yeah. You just have to drive it here and put it on the dyno.
Well, this is untuned. This is baseline. If we want the purest numbers, we do baseline, you know?
Yeah.
So when I swap the exhaust back, take the tune off the other one, then do it. That makes sense. Get in bone stock. See, oh, the other one's also X drive. But I can put it in real drive mode.
It would just be cool to see because they're same engine though, right?
Yeah.
Cool to see the difference.
Where the fuck did the strap go? I heard it. Dang.
It's always the worst when you lose a strap on.
Oh, boy, we're still one of those jokes, huh?
Yeah.
I thought we like matured already past this.
In the last 3 minutes, we have not matured.
Oh.
I think your alarm's going off now.
Yeah, I leaned on it, taking off already. It's not the alarm, it's the trunk opening.
Oh,
It's my hand. It's got the kick thing, you know?
that makes sense.
You kick the back, then. I mean, it's not gonna make any fucking power. Do you need front straps?
No, just go for
Probably
it.
not. I'll just do it just in case.
It's not a bad idea to do.
I don't think it's gonna do anything. What for you, strap?
It's the fun part of the dyno tune that no one ever gets to see. It's where the first hour of the dyno tune goes, is strapping it down.
So much fun. So much fun. One of the least favorite part. The worst part about doing this is that I get dirty and then I get inside a customer's car dirty. So I'm always trying to wipe myself down after I do this.
Well, if this was your car, is that why you were laying on the ground?
Well, nobody else is doing it.
I looked back there and you were completely laying down.
Yeah, I don't lay down with this customer's car. So I'm gonna take my jacket off before I sit back down in it.
Using a Carhartt the way Carhartt's meant to be used. Rather than those.
What's that? Questioning my identity?
No, I'm just saying that nowadays Carhartt's a hipster brand where people
Yeah.
are wearing it that have never seen a work boot in their life.
Well, I'll never buy another fucking car in my life.
440 XT. Think we need the parent in that?
Yeah, if you want powers and spools out of it.
Okay. So we're putting one on that.
Do we have one back there?
Yes. We have it for a plastic manifold, so we're just gonna put it on.
That works perfect.
It makes sense to do it now instead of saying, yeah, you should have just done it. Really do it now.
Well, how many times have we told people they should have and they don't, and then
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
yeah.
Yep, that is.
Especially with the 10 centimeter exhaust housing.
Yep, it's
kind
gonna
of
be a spicy one.
It's kind of a spicy unit for.
It's a manual transmission, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
We got him an HDSS clutch.
Yeah, makes sense.
He's not going flex though, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, that's.
You will.
Flex is the most amazing thing, but the problem is that so many people get discouraged by
Oh,
how
this guy
hard it is
doesn't
to
have
get.
a pump near him, that's why he.
Yeah, he doesn't have a pump near him because I remember talking with him.
Yep.
But that's the most common thing is that everyone goes, "Oh, I don't want flex fuel," and then like 3 to 6 months later, we get the phone call of, "Hey, how much would it
I
cost to get
was,
flex
I
fuel?"
was one of those people.
Yeah.
I didn't have flex on
Everyone
my
is,
Skyline,
everyone
and I
is.
put it on and picked up 80 horse. I'm like, okay.
The thing is that you spend,
Fair
thousands
enough.
of dollars getting to whatever horsepower you're at, and then it's like we can spend $600 more and, gain an extra 20%, or
Yeah, every
whatever
car
it comes
I
up to be.
I usually tell we're on a minimum of like 50 horsepower gain. Like the lowest we've seen.
Yeah.
Well, the
That's
stock
like,
servo was less than that, but everything else,
yeah, we're relative. I mean, with like, bolt-ons and stuff.
It's definitely worth doing.
Like even just the Mamba housing, you still gain.
Oh, but this one has a heads-up display on it, which is really cool. I dig it.
It's fancy.
Yeah, big fan. It's one of the things I wanted. Was the heads up. I wish it had like the cameras all the way around, like in the bumper and stuff.
The heads-up display.
Well, what's funny is.
Who is?
So I knew it had it, and then I flew down there to get the car, and I'm driving the car for the first time to the bank to get to deposit the check they got from selling STI, and to get a check for paying the rest of this off. And on the way there, I don't see the heads-up display. I'm like, what the fuck? Is it like off? Is it damaged? I'm going through the settings, and I can't find anything. What the fuck is going on? And I pull over, I look, make sure it has one, and yeah, it's there. I see, there's the thing. What the hell is going on? And then I sit in the car again, and I see it. I'm like, what the fuck?
Was it adjusted way out of spec or something?
Gone there. I was wearing polarized sunglasses, and it completely wipes it out on the polarized glasses. So, I mean, the reason for the polarized glasses when you're driving is to minimize reflections off the windshield in your eyes. And the heads-up display is literally a reflection off the windshield to your eyes. And so the
Makes
polarized
sense.
glasses, it was gone. And I'm like, what the fuck? Another thing? I'm like freaking out. And I take the glasses off, and there it is. I'm like, oh, mother.
That is funny. Who was the first to do a heads-up display? I know it was pretty standard in Corvettes, but I don't think Chevy was the first.
I don't know.
It might have been
For a
first.
road-going car, it might have been Chevy.
Could have been.
They started doing that even before the Corvettes.
I hardly ever use mine in the Corvette.
Say what?
I said I hardly ever use my heads up in the Corvette.
Oh, I use mine all the time.
I turn it on and I'm like, whoa, that's cool. And then I'm like, all right, I don't want anything blocking my view.
I use mine all the time. I love it.
I think it'd be really handy for dragging. To have your tack right there.
Wearing dresses and heels, but...
No, that's a different type of dragging.
Oh, what do you mean?
Drag racing.
Oh, drag racing. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you had a heads-up display, you could tell when you had wheel hop it'll help you to prevent from throwing a rod through your block.
That's right. Because when the wheel hops, the ignition advance goes up really high.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted it on my Corvette.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. I didn't forget to put a fan on.
There you go. I was like, if I see that jump up, I'll know, whoa, we gotta let off.
Whoa!
Like,
Wheel hop indicator.
Yeah. That's really all I need it for.
You're gonna get me in trouble, Chase.
I
You're
didn't.
gonna get in trouble, you're gonna talk shit on my stream.
I'm not talking shit.
Someone's gonna hear, don't shit.
Oh, no, no. Look how sunny it is. It's beautiful out. Great weather out here today. The hotel's excited that we're doing dyno pulls. Hopefully no one's sleeping over there. Well, actually, it's your car. They'll probably be able to sleep if they're sleeping over there. Now that we have the fans on, you can't hear anything out of this car.
What's that?
I said, now that the fans are running, I can't even tell your car's running for real.
It's not.
Oh,
Turn off the fire, shut it down.
there you go. All right, well, I'm gonna hand it back to you now.
Alright.
You're going back up.
So standard baseline protocol is 3 to 5 poles. Take the highest run. Typically though, for a lot of cars, the highest run is like the third. Interestingly enough, I've had some cars that made more power each pole, which is really weird. Alright, let's turn traction off. Turn everything off. They do this thing where you get it where it shows the car skidding, sliding. Turns off. Alright. So first step is 60 miles an hour to set the tachometer. With the ratios on this, I'll probably do 4th gear. Keep thinking I pull the wheel, which I obviously don't. So 3200 is where the dyno wants it to be. Wait 1 sec. Quieter? Nope, not quieter. This light could be open. I apologize for the noise. Alright, let's go here. Graph. Get rid of the dyno graph that's on there. It's mad at me. '90s Honda, yeah, I don't know. I guess if they even do the whole. It's got to freak out first. Fault in airbag? That's a weird one. Blind spot attention malfunction. Yep. Oh, I forgot to turn that off. Oh well. Okay. Hood open. Close message. Brake system, close message. Drivetrain malfunction, close message. Boy, all the messages. Let's try the end. Oh, you cunt. I guess I gotta shut the hood. It stopped me at fucking $3,000. Engine compartment hot. Caution. Man, this thing is just freaking out. What's weird is I've dyno-tuned a bunch of these, and they don't all freak out like this. But this one does have the newer software version, and the other ones are usually already flashed. So it's possible that it's just really mad. All right, let's try it again. Oh yeah, seatbelt. Just minimize
The ding-a-lings. All right, let's see if the hood up thing is what was causing that. Nope. All right. Turn this off. I don't understand why the airbag system give me an alarm. That's a weird one. I've never seen the airbag system go off before. I saw the chassis stabilization one. Alright, tack. Speedo is 0 right now. Means it might work. Wow. Huh. I'm really surprised by those numbers. I'll show you in a second. What's really weird is how unsmooth that was. I don't know if I was getting some wheel spin or not. I doubt it. Well, maybe I was because of the tack. Well, let's do another one. Let's find out. Let's take this out. It says 304. What? That seems weird to me. But it only went to 6,400, looks like, on the dyno. I'm pretty sure I haven't hired that in the car. So maybe I was getting some wheel spin on the dyno. Wow, super zoom. If this was my dyno, I'd put it in a BMW Sucks 1. Oh, for the license plate, that's funny. I figured something happened. Alright, sorry Travis, I missed all your texts until then. You know how it is, putting the car together. Oh shit, don't do that. I say contact BMW. Oops. Disregard. Oh no, stop. Stop. Alright, I think it stopped. It's a 19. It's a 19. Let's try it again. I want to see if I get this thing that pull smoothly. It did not want to pull smoothly. Want to pull smoothly. One thing that's... Oh, did that shit again? Is it back? Is there a video now? Okay. Yay! Yeah, stupid freaking iPhone, man. Never had this problem until I got an iPhone. All phones suck. It doesn't matter if it's iPhone or Android, they all suck. Alright, we're gonna try this one more time. 304. I have no idea how that happened, but that's what it says. So, that's really crazy too, because this dyno is such a fucking dream crusher normally. 304 is, I mean, it did feel faster to me than 320 when I drove it. So I don't know what. That's really interesting. Maybe this car is 405. Maybe I'm thinking of my old fucking BMW. Hey, someone look at the specs of my own car for me, would you? Alright, let's try it again. Oh yeah, there's some wheel spin there. Stops here and stopped at 65 on the dyno. 64 and a half. Well, check this out. So I'll show you the rev matching. So I'm put towards 5th gear and it didn't work. I think if I hit the brakes, what's going on? If I hit the brakes, yeah, there it goes. It's rev matching for me. 310. What the hell? Oh man, now I gotta take back my old video. I have to like take my video down where I said underrated my ass. Bradley, if you have a Subaru and it used the blue coolant, I recommend using the blue. If it had green coolant, then I would just use green. Whatever. If it's a Subaru with blue, you get the Asian blue compound from O'Reilly's or whatever, and that stuff works just fine. If you're going green, then go green. I like the blue personally, but it's really expensive. But if you're gonna go with something different than what you have, like green to blue, you gotta get a full flush going on. You gotta make sure that all the green is out of there, which if you've ever taken a Subaru engine apart, you know is impossible. Even when it's apart, like, cool, it's like life from Jurassic Park. It finds a way. And yeah, fucking that coolant will find a way and just keep showing up. So I don't think that you can get a very good flush on them. Now, not to say that they're not compatible with each other. I've seen some cars with clogged heater cores who had done the mixing, and I don't know if it's because of the mixing or just completely coincidental. You know, the reason they did the mix was because they also did something else and that caused it. I just don't like, I just don't take the chance. So if it came with blue or with green and it's got green, then just keep putting green in it. If it's got orange, keep putting orange in it. You know, the deck's cool. If it's got the blue, then just keep putting the blue in it. That's what I would do. And if you can help it, never use water. God, that stuff is terrible. Man, I'm really 310? I mean, it feels like that when you drive it. That's crazy. So, let's see. So if it's a 340 model, that means I'm only losing 10% to the wheels, to drivetrain loss. 10% seems low. It should be like 14-15% on a really, really efficient car. I'd be surprised if it was as low as 10%. But maybe BMW figured some shit out. Yeah, 2006 is green from the factory. That's correct. All right, so like 310. Supposedly this is 340. Yeah, that's like 9.2%. These do have an overboost, but the overboost isn't supposed to be for topping horsepower, it's for torque. The torque, by the way, is 350. 355, 360. That's pretty impressive. That torque is impressive, and you feel that. And that's under 3,000 RPM. So at 2750, it's making 360 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels. And like I said, you can feel that when you drive it. This thing is... So the B58, at one point in time, I said that the B58 had perfect geometry, and I was completely wrong. I later on looked it up and realized I had confused the B58 with the S58 for geometry. And the S58 still isn't perfect, but it's improved geometry over the B58. The B58 is extremely under square. It's extremely under square, which means it has a much narrower bore than it does stroke, and it has not very good rod ratio, much like an EJ, actually, which really is surprising to me because BMW has all kinds of room in here to do what they want. But the thing about rod ratio and under square engines is that they're very efficient. If you have a crappy rod ratio by performance standards, it's crappy by performance standards because it pushes the efficiency range to the right on the RPM graph. But having the lower rod ratio moves that efficiency range to the left, which is the lower RPM on the graph. And then having the under square engine and everything, you're again going towards that efficiency, that low end, that mid-range and low end efficiency. And as I explained before, my black one, I mean, I get 40 miles per gallon on that thing on the highway, as long as I keep it under 80. I get about 40 miles per gallon. And that car makes 500 horse at the crank. How many 500 horsepower cars are getting 40 miles per gallon? You know, not a lot, if any. And you have to attribute that to the overdrive being so ridiculous, obviously, and the geometry. Now, the geometry alone isn't all there is. The geometry of the combustion chamber is extremely important. The cam profiles, the cam timing, the lift, the port lengths, the runner lengths, all that stuff all plays into where your efficiency range is going to be. And they all need to match, or it will never hit the VEs that it would in those areas. Now, forced induction, we have this wonderful ability to artificially raise the VE of an engine and widen the power band. So my guess is they said, well, let's make this thing as efficient as hell and then use the turbo for top end. I mean, and look at this power graph. I'll show you that again. It's really remarkable. The torque falls off as much as it does. Usually a lot of these manufacturers target a completely flat torque curve and then have the horsepower curve going up, but they didn't. They didn't do it. And what's even crazier is that when you tune these things, they pick up a ton of torque and a ton of horsepower. And I know this wasn't tuned because it's way slower than my black one. Let me show you. Again, we get the first handful of pulls where I was having issues with the traction control, all that stuff clicking on. But yeah, so much torque. Holy shit, the fuck is going on my phone? You guys hearing all that? Found a dead fuse for the cam sensor. Well, this is a week ago. The text just came in. Alright. Sorry, there's like all these messages pouring through. Holy moly. I just did the, I just turned the phone on for the first time in 2 weeks because I was gone on vacation and ba-ding, exploded. Anyways, so what I'm trying to find is what the specs were on this car, supposed to be from the factory. I thought they were 340, 219, BMW, 440. Okay. Wish I could show you what's going on here. I'm typing into the screen and then it goes away. BMW 440 I specs. $320 it says here for the base 320. Holy, zoomed in, Batman. Alright, let's see what he says here. Tier for the new Subaru Blue, it's in it. Dom said it's expensive. Okay. Hybrid motors have been around forever, but it seems like people always automatically assume that they're basically pointless for anything performance related. Why is that? I don't. Oh, so you're not saying what I'm talking about, because this isn't a hybrid by any means. Well, they're obviously not pointless for performance related, because the fastest cars in the world right now are hybrids, or some of the, I should say, quickest cars in the world are hybrids. The Porsche was a 918 fucking Spider, what the hell it's called, with the it's a hybrid. It's got the Electromotors in the front. The hell's the Koenigsegg called that car? The Gemera, whatever the hell it's called, the Koenigsegg. That thing's ridiculously fast, and it's a hybrid. Supposedly Corvettes, they're working on a Corvette one that's got front electric rear engine, or mid-engine but rear-wheel drive. There's a bunch of them I'm drawing a blank on right now, but fast cars are there. I mean, nothing beats the ability to put out as much power and torque as you can nearly instantaneously with electric motors, and really linearly, I should say, because a lot of people say, oh, the electric motor has instant torque or flat torque curve, or the torque has a 45-degree angle, and all of those people are wrong. I highly recommend anybody look up an actual torque curve for an electric motor. There are torque and horsepower curves in electric motor. They are not what people think they are. I get all kinds of funny things. Oh, it's just a straight line like this. Nope, that's not true. If it was, then once you loaded it, it would slow down and keep slowing down until it stopped. It's totally flat. Like, no, that's not true either. I mean, it depends on the kind of motor. But say like an AC induction motor, which is what the Teslas use, that is absolutely not the case. And the Tesla has faster acceleration after about 15-20 feet of rolling than it does out of the hole, because the AC induction motor needs relative motion, and it needs a slip angle. And if the rotor is not moving, then it doesn't technically have a slip angle. The slip angle, therefore, is infinite, and so it has to be behind the rotating field a certain amount for to generate torque. So torque on an AC induction motor starts somewhere in the middle and then spikes up, and then at like 15 degrees or 15% slip or something like that, then it's up at its peak torque, and then it drops down as it progresses through the RPM range. So it's definitely not at all flat or straight lines or anything. Yeah, it's instant, but so is an engine. If the engine had instant torque, you wouldn't rotate, right? So there's a lot of misconceptions out there about fucking everything, right? Anything engine related and almost everything electrical related. There are so many misconceptions and thumb rules and expressions and sayings that are just the stupidest shit you ever heard. Like torque wins races. Shut the fuck up. What's the other one? I don't know. People argue which about torque or horsepower, and it's the dumbest thing ever. It drives me absolutely insane. So if you're here, someone, torque is, or horsepower is how hard you hit the wall, torque's how far you take the wall with you, you know, stupid stuff like that. It's just absolutely dumb to no fucking end. Yeah, and so it's not just engines and V8s that have that shit. It's also electric motors and electricity and all of that. So, but the thing about electrical energy is that there are less variables in it. You don't have cam timing, ignition timing, and all that stuff going on. You don't have resonance of air waves in your manifold, and you don't have, you know, waiting for there's no turbo lag. You know, you're not waiting for things to happen. You put in this much voltage at the terminals, and you get this output. And so it's very predictable. It's very controllable. It's, you know, a different feeling than what people are used to. And it absolutely has a place in motorsports. And for the guys that have it on the front of their cars, it's really good for torque vectoring because it's an electric motor. You put voltage to it, like I said, you get this output. And so with some semi-basic physics and math equations, you can calculate exactly how much power you need to help the car navigate a turn. And then you can know instantly by the motor's design how much voltage your controller should apply to that motor to give you that exact amount of power, torque or power, whatever it is you need at whatever you're trying to accomplish. So it's very good in the front because the front is this part of the car where you want the traction to be correct, right? It's going to provide braking, it's going to provide most of the braking, it's going to provide all of the turning, just about, at least the initial turning, right? And it's just a very critical part of the car. So if I can control the power or the torque on the wheels very specifically, power is not torque, then I can maximize my performance with the available grip. Changes in steering angle. It's a slight change in steering angle. If I increase that, I have some G sensors that says the car is starting to use more lateral grip. I can tell it to reduce power from the inside tire, and I can know exactly how much to reduce it and how much I'm going to get out of it with an electric motor. With a gasoline motor, it's a whole lot of fuzzy math, and it's all very guess and check. I know that if I pull 5 degrees, I'm going to get about, 16% of my torque reduction, or whatever it's going to be, right? I'm going to get about that. And so you have a lot of guess and check, going into that. And with electric motors, it's just very, very mathematical. They know the coefficient of drag of the car. They know the coefficient of friction, both static and sliding for the tires. They know what slip angle the tire wants to go. They know with accelerometers how much slip I have based on the gyros in the car saying, my tire is turned 5 more degrees than the car is traveling. That stuff is all with modern math and sensors calculated, and so you can get pretty fancy with it and do all sorts of really cool torque vectoring. And they do that in a lot of cars, in gasoline cars, but it's not nearly as precise as it would be with electric. So that's what I want to talk about really quick, because I said torque is not power. And I look at this dyno graph, and it's got torque and it's got power, right? They're not the same. Torque is a force. Engines produce torque. They produce torque. That force is produced, it twists things, okay? That's your twisting force. Having lots of torque is handy-ish, right? But torque alone is only a force. I can always multiply torque. I can always change the gear ratios, go from a 411s to a 5 something or whatever, and I can multiply torque. So I can produce whatever torque I want. This engine makes 310 or 355 or 365 torque to the wheels right now. I can raise that. I can put it in a different gear and I can make way more torque to the wheels. Now, this is at a specific RPM, and it's back calculated. And that's what's interesting, is right now, that's reading 360 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels. The dyno saw more than that, right? The dyno saw more than 360 foot-pounds. But I calibrated the engine RPM to it, and by doing the engine RPM to it, it takes out the gear ratio, and therefore tells it what the engine is producing. Now, I can put this in first gear and do a pull, and I'll still make 360 pounds of torque to the wheels on that dyno indication, because it's doing it at the engine. But the wheels are going to see tens of thousands of foot-pounds of torque. That's not true. It's going to be, let's see, this is a 4.17 to 1 times a 3.2, so 12 point something times the torque output of the engine. So 12 times 300, it's going to see 3,600 and something pounds of torque at the roller. Okay, and that's force. But the horsepower is exactly the same. It doesn't matter what gear I am, doesn't matter what ratios I have, the horsepower output is going to be exactly the same, because that force is being applied, that greater force of torque is being applied at a much slower speed. Whereas in higher gears, the lower amount of torque is being applied at a much higher speed. Okay, so the horsepower is going to be the same on all of them. What the roller sees won't change horsepower-wise, but it will see a change in torque. That's important, okay? Torque is a force. Torque does work. So I can pick up my cell phone, and I can apply a force to it, and it's going to be in foot-pounds. I'm going to lift it. And my force is greater than the force of gravity. I move this phone 2 inches, I have done work. Work has been done, okay? If I'm pushing a car by hand down the driveway, I am doing work. Now, how fast I can do work, that's power. I can't push that car 30 miles an hour. It's not just because I can't run 30 miles an hour, but I can't push that car at my full top running speed, because doing work in a shorter period of time, doing more work in a shorter period of time takes more power. And that's very difficult. You see semis. Semis have thousands of foot-pounds of torque. They roll that load down a flat highway, doing 90 miles an hour, no problem. They hit the pass, boo, they slow way down. Why? Well, because they have tons of torque, but that's not enough. You need power. They don't have enough horsepower to do that much work, to lift that much weight up the mountain quickly. They have enough horsepower to do it slowly, which is why you got to slow down to 30 miles an hour over the pass or whatever. They have enough horsepower to do that work slowly. They don't have enough horsepower to do that work quickly. All right, that's really important. So when you hear guys talk about horsepower and torque, they say stupid shit. Torque is only the force that is applied that does work, and it only does work if that force that's applied is greater than whatever is trying to hold it still. And then to do that work quickly, you need power. You can have 16,000 pounds of torque out of your engine, but if it only makes 10 horsepower, you're still running a 27-second quarter mile. Plain and simple. If you don't have any horsepower, you can't run a fast quarter mile. Quarter mile times give no cares about torque output of your engine. No shits at all. It's all about the work. Take that weight, that car, take it from one end of the track to the other. That's work. And how fast you do that, that's power. And then also, you have the wind resistance too that you got to add into that as well. Coefficient of drag on the engine, times the speed, gives you a resistance, which is again a force that you have to be greater than. So those things add up, and that produces, you know, the output at the end is the car getting down the track. That's your work is being done, displacing the air, displacing the car. That's work. How fast you do it, that's power. So I just wanted to clarify that stuff. I know that's probably more technical than most people want to hear on some stupid YouTube channel about cars and stuff, but you have a force, that's torque. You have work, that's moving it. You're moving whatever you're moving, and then you have power, and it's how fast you can do it. So how does that relate to a car? I'm not moving the car on the dyno, right? The car's not moving, the car's staying stationary. I'm rolling these rollers, and I'm moving that eddy brake, and that eddy brake is applying drag. And so it takes force to pull through that brake. So I'm applying force to the eddy brake, and I'm doing it a distance because I'm rotating it, right? So that magnetic field is rotating a distance based on the diameter of it or whatever. So I have force and I have distance with rotation, and then I have time with RPM, right? So if I look at the horsepower graph, I have revolutions per minute. So I have torque, foot-pounds, that's a force. Then I have revolutions per minute. Minute is where that time comes in. Revolutions is the distance in here, in this situation, because I have foot-pounds, foot is a distance, and then I have revolutions, and now I have done a revolution times that foot, so that becomes a almost basically linear distance, which is the work being done, and then I have the time per minute. So, and that's why horsepower is directly calculated from torque if you know the RPM. If an engine can make torque at RPM, then it's going to have a lot of power because it's doing force quickly, and that's power. It's doing work quickly, that's power. That's the best way I can do it without diagrams and drawing things up, and just trying to explain it to you guys in layman's terms. So, I really like the car. I'm getting tattooed at the moment. I'll have to catch up on this one later. All right, right on, dude. You'd be surprised how you can explain this, but it's still hard for other people to understand. My electric teacher about lost his mind trying to explain this when it pertains to electric motors. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said if it was really a 45-degree angle, as soon as you applied load to it, it would just slow down and go to 0. As soon as you applied load to it, it would want to slow down and would therefore drop to a lower zone of torque, which would make it slow down more and bring it down to a lower zone of torque and slow down more to a lower zone, and it would just go to 0. So the torque has to be at least level or like this for a portion of it. So when you load it, it buffers and stops. And that's exactly what a motor does. Most electric motors actually, the torque drops, just like an engine. Torque spikes up and then drops. Most engines are that way, and so are most electric motors. So when you load it, well, actually, with electric motors, it's really cool. And I'm going to tell you this now. It's probably well beyond people know about them. When you load an electric motor and you slow down the armature, when you slow down, the rotor, you slow down the rotor, you raise the current. And that increase in current creates a stronger magnetic field, which then raises the torque output, which stops from going any slower. Now, why does that raise the current? This is actually really cool. It pertains to all motors, speakers especially, believe it or not. Speakers and motors, rotating motors, use this. So counter electromotive force is what's often called. And counter electromotive force is generator action in a motor. Now what that means, if I say generator action, what I'm saying is the action of the motor spinning generates voltage. That voltage that's generated inside the rotor or the armature of the motor, whether it be the rotor or the stator or whatever, opposes the voltage being applied to it. So if I'm applying 12 volts across this motor, as it speeds up, it generates more voltage. That voltage is opposite to the 12 volts that I gave it. And so that's what stops from going to the moon, right? The voltage goes up. As the voltage goes up, you'll see the current drops. And you can see this in almost every single motor in the world. You start it, there's a really high current initially, and the current dives off. That's why you have what's called starting current. The starting current is, I applied 12 volts, I have the resistance of the windings, which is, less than an ohm. The rotor's not spinning, lots of current. Rotor starts to spin. I now have a rotating, I have a conductor capable of carrying current, basically metal bars, inside a magnetic field, and relative motion too, so they're spinning. Now I'm generating voltage. That voltage is generated and opposes the 12 volts that I applied to it. The faster it goes, the more it generates, and the more it opposes that 12 volts until it reaches an equilibrium, and the current drops down. If it goes too far, and it's below the running torque, then the engine would slow down until the current would back up, produce more field again, and each torque. So that's why motors are very good for self-regulating with load, because as you load it, it slows down, it creates less voltage internally, it resists the voltage that's being applied to it less, current goes up, if current goes up, torque goes up. And so they're very self-stabilizing. It's really cool on motors, electric motors, how they have that. Speakers the same way. When you blow a speaker because it clipped, not because you just put too much current through it. I mean, yes, you put too much current through it. It's not because the rip was too big. It was because the speaker, which is a motor, stopped moving to the end of its travel, stopped generating a voltage that opposes the voltage that made it move in the first place, the current goes up. So the cone hits the end of it, the voice coil no longer has electromotive force in it, bloop, current goes up, you burn the thing out. And that's all it is. It's literally electromotive force in a motor that keeps the speakers from blowing. What's up, Home Slice?
You get her done?
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by the numbers.
Think it's accurate?
I do.
I mean, you drove the car.
Yeah, it feels about that fast. It feels like a 4 horsepower car. It's rated at 320, but it feels like it has about 4. And it's made 310 with the wheels.
N54s did that too. They made about 70 wheel stock versus what BMW released them at.
Yeah, my automatic that yours had, it made 260 something, I think is what it was, stock. It made 260 something to the wheels.
Yeah.
And then with a tune, it was like 3 something.
It was like 315.
Yeah, 315 with just the bass flash. And then I put the exhaust and downpipes on it, and I got like 367 on this dyno, on the N54. This is 310 from the start. The N54 was rated at 305. This is rated at 320.
Yeah.
That's more than 15 horsepower. So, but this motor is used on so many different platforms and so many different horsepower outputs, just based on what tune was on it from BMW. So I don't know, 310. It's a lot. I mean, that feels right, but dyno-wise, that feels right. That's just, you know, I mean, it's definitely not a 320 horsepower car when you drive it.
Yeah.
It's way faster than a fucking STI stock.
Yeah.
Way faster. It's just weird that they rated it that way. So I'm trying to figure out why. And then I got into freaking physics and stupid shit like that. Well, combating misinformation is definitely one of my
What's
goals.
that?
Oh, I was just telling them combating misinformation is one of my goals for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But now I have a video that says it's called "Underrated My Ass," and it's about how people are like, "Oh, the manufacturer underrated the horsepower on this fucking car." I'm like, "No, they didn't. Like, why did they do that? That was a gentleman's agreement in Japan, but they have no reason to do it now. Why would they underrate the car other than being sued if they lied about it? Why would they underrate the car when horsepower is such a talking point, you know, for people that are buying cars?" And so I have a video called "Underrated My Ass," where I say, "Your car's not fucking underrated. Your dyno rate's high." Well, I know this fucking dyno is really high.
No.
And it's adding, well, I didn't hook up the temperature to the intake, so it's adding 13% to the power that it's reading right now is what it says. So maybe that 13% is the gap, because they're telling like that.
Maybe.
That would make more sense. You know, maybe I should fix that. Maybe that's what it is.
Do you have a boost reference on this?
I don't have boost reference on it, no.
You're just.
I don't think they even have
You're
it.
just getting a number.
Yeah, I just want to see a baseline number. Let me fix that temperature.
Well, your heated mirrors.
Have they heated now?
Mm-hmm.
Plug in the weather station, the red one. So the weather station of the dyno is kind of fucked up, and it lasts for just a few minutes at a time before it starts making really bad noises. And so I usually just get the data from the current environment based on meteorological shit and then put it in the computer. But I'm gonna hook it up and see how long it lasts and see how many changes the output will be. Weather station connection restored. Alright. Let's start the timer. How long till it explodes? It starts going.
What does?
The weather station. That's why I had it turned off. Well, okay, so there you go. It dropped 6%. Oh, that's perfect. Because I said that was only a 9% difference of what it should be, and it should be about 15, and it just dropped 6%. That is 15%, which is why I said the drivetrain loss in this thing should be.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I don't feel so bad now. Let's do it. Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. If the car will do a poll, let's find out. That's more what I would expect. And the overboost torque drop off is there too. I'm gonna do another one. See if it drops that much. And I'll show you guys here. Just try to hold this stuff. Still, it picked up 8 horsepower between those two poles. A little bit of heat.
I was gonna say it didn't like being cold.
No, it didn't.
So 294 and then 302. Those two poles. Torque's down too, quite a bit. So that's closer to what it should be.
Well, these do torque by gear too.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I did fourth gear before too, though. But I don't know what they rated in.
I don't know if they're pulling any in fourth, or if they're pulling it in third, or where they stop pulling it.
I don't either.
Because you can adjust that on mine in the
Yeah.
MHD. Well, I mean, you can on this when you get it.
You can do more in the automatics
Yeah.
for that reason, but yeah, this is the manual one. So 294, that makes more sense. 302, that's still high to me, but that's closer to what makes sense for this thing. Huh. They have internet numbers. All right, well, I got those logged and kept on file now. So then I take the ECU out. Oh, what time is it? Okay. Take the ECU out tonight after I do the coding for all the other crap. Then I pull the ECU out and I send it off to a place in California. They're going to unlock it for me. And then I'll get it back in a few days. And then I will, I'll tune it. And we'll see what it does. I use some shell maps, and then I'll build my own. I'll put the BMW MPP SK on it, tune on it, and...
You gonna put the XHB on it too?
yeah. Yeah, it's my left foot. And then... oh, the exhaust. I'll put the exhaust on it. That's what I should do. I should put it on the lift. I gotta push the Corvette out of the way. I should put this on the lift, pop the exhaust off of it, pull the ECU out of it, and then send it off. And then while it's gone, swap the exhaust on the two cars, and then have this one ready with the exhaust for when the ECU shows up. That's what I'll do. That'd be fun. That'll be a good time. Just need someone to help me. All right, let's get this fucking thing off the dyno. Make any questions about what just happened? I feel like not the most entertaining video of all time. I get it, but interesting. Relatively flat torque. It's got that little spike down there, and like I said before, I think that's that overboost that a lot of German manufacturers do. They add extra boost for a little bit of RPM right after they punch it. Makes me wonder if I do a pull at half throttle until like 4 and then punch it, if I'll get a spike. Because they do that throttle-based overboost. I'm gonna do that. Let's do another pull. Let's see if it does that. Let's see if it does the overboost based on throttle or if it's only at RPM. I also realized that I know why the dyno's stopping at 64 is because I'm hitting the speed limit of the dyno.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a little bit. It didn't torque spike too much.
It didn't hardly at all.
Yeah, it pretty much went right to the torque.
Met up right with the last line.
That's some seriously good PID control on the boost control system. Do that.
Are these vacuum or these are electronic gates?
Yeah, electronic gates, yeah. Power output 296. That it says?
Yep, 296.4.
Yeah.
Which is exactly kind of what you made before when you let it cool off for a while.
Right. It's interesting that it hit that same exact torque number so well.
I mean, it came right up to it perfect.
I know.
It just came up right in and just whoop.
Yeah. So it must be an RPM based, not necessarily a throttle based boost.
Well, mine has that stupid load limit shit.
Well, they all have low limit shit.
Well, that's what was doing it on that tune on the first one.
Oh,
You'd
right.
be cruising in the freeway and it would be like over, too much torque, and it would just go.
Oh yeah, the cruising low limit, that was bizarre, for sure. That was really weird.
It's not bad.
No, it's good.
For all nothing, stop.
Yeah. I got fucking caught up talking to the KO racing guy down there. He stopped me when I was on my way back from the mail. Adam totally knows he dropped the screws out of his truck because he parked, and I walked around the other side of his trailer, and I saw him like looking at the spot, and I was like, "Sup, dude?" And he like jumped really quick once I said sup. He's like, "Oh, didn't see ya." So you could tell that he was up to, looking at his wrongdoing. So I told KO Racing, I was like, "Hey, make sure you don't park there." Adam dumped a bunch of screws there trying to get Rumble Autos, so. He was,
It's just funny because all he does is eliminate his own parking spot.
I know. It's kind of funny.
It's fucked up.
Doesn't use
Like,
logic.
it's fucked up. The dudes.
But KO Racing was saying that if we ever wanted to use their dyno, we could, because they have a dyno jet with aggressive rollers.
Is it a Jet or a Mustang?
Dyno jet.
Oh, okay. Is it linked or open?
I think it's linked, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. They're just four-door that?
Yeah.
I haven't met the guy yet.
I was telling him, I was like, yeah, when it comes time to do the Vets or the Skylines, I know sometimes ours has traction issues.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the etching on theirs, and it's like deep etching.
Yeah, they have
It's
the knurling.
Yeah. He was saying he put his Ford dually on there. He said both of the rear wheels were hanging off each side, but he did it. And I was like, that's fucking crazy.
Which would probably be better.
Yeah.
More pressure on those two that are there.
Our dyno likes to be higher.
All right, guys. Well, nobody has any questions about what just happened. Then I'm going to secure the screen here, turn it off, and get to take this car for the night out. And I'm going to do some work. Do some more work. Got to get some cams together for a guy. And I got to ship those, and I got to get the car back to the house so I can do the coating, and then pull the ECU out, and pull the exhaust off, and all kinds of fun stuff. So, any last questions? I see none. All right, guys. Well, thanks again. Thanks for stopping by. I should have like a catchphrase or say something like, "What's up, you sexy YouTube mother lovers?" Like say Brendan Hur, or use words repeatedly that drive people crazy, like boys, boys, boys.